points, DC talking points, DC talking points, DC talking points. Oh, that wasn't so bad. How's it going, super friends? Welcome back to my channel and to another episode of DC Talking Points. I'm Brad, the DC Universe Geek, and I'll be your host. I'm not really sure host is the appropriate term for what I do on this segment. It's more like I'm the talking head that says a bunch of stuff. Anyhow, before we get going, I'd like to take some time to read a letter from a fellow fan. It's from a fella called Sakuragi. Or is it Sakuraji? I'm not sure. I looked up the pronunciation online, and I got two different pronunciations, so I'm not even sure which one's correct. I hope I don't butcher your name too bad. Seriously, man. Sorry if I do. The name might be a bit hard to pronounce, so you can just call me Sai. I don't even know how to pronounce that. S-A-I-A. How do you pronounce that? Sai. Like all my friends do. My social media handles are all Sakuraji10. Anyway, Batman is my favorite superhero and Jim Lee is my favorite artist of all time. A lot of people would agree with you on that one. Jim Lee is a huge fan favorite. I'm from the northeast of India, a state called Mizoram. I live in the city of Aizawl. Man, I just can't pronounce this stuff. A-I-Z-A-W-L. I know all these names are going to be super hard to pronounce correctly, but I just want to be clear and just want to hear you try to butcher all the names. LOL. Well, I suppose I'm doing a good job of the butchering part. Sorry. I love drawing and expressing through my drawings. This drawing was inspired by Batman the Animated Series, particularly the action figure by DC Collectibles. That show was and still is my favorite cartoon show. It was one of mine too. It actually was my favorite cartoon show while it was contemporary and on air in 1991 and 92, I think is when it came out. I loved the fact that it used the 1989 theme song from the Batman movie. I wanted to send this drawing because I love your channel and enjoy how much effort you put into your content. Plus, you seem so friendly and that just makes your videos so much more appealing. Sorry I could not send the hard copy through the mail. I'm a true DC fan to the core just like you. I love your channel and hope it grows bigger and bigger every day. Please don't ever stop being the person you are right now. You are amazing. That means a lot to me. Please don't ever stop being the person you are right now. That's something a lot of people, including myself, need to hear. That people like us just the way we are. That we don't have to be anything else for anybody else. Also, Sakuraji sent me some artwork to go up here on the fellow fan wall. For one, he sent me this really cool boss picture of Superman. I really, really like it. Thank you very, very much. It's going to go up on the wall. And he also sent me this picture that is inspired by Batman the Animated Series. It's Bruce in his quarry. Batman in the Batcave. So thank you very, very much. I'm going to put these up on the fellow fan wall. And I just want to point out that the way that I handle the fellow fan mail not as in fan mail to me, but we're all fellow fans, and sometimes you send me things. How I'm going to handle this from now on, unless I get a really big, heavy mail day, I'm not going to make it its own video because I just don't get enough mail. And that means Sakuraji had to wait a long time before I even made a video because I was waiting to see if anything else was actually going to come in. It's bad enough that sometimes I get hammered and busy with other things that I end up having to give precedent and record on this channel. But then if you have to wait and you sent me something, but there's only one postcard or letter for a month, I feel bad having someone have to wait that long. So instead, what I'm going to do is do it like this at the beginning of a video, or I'll do it at the end of a video. But I'll make sure that I end up showcasing the artwork and the letters of people who send it to me sooner. That's my goal. That's what I'd like to do. And don't worry, how I plan on hanging all the artwork up is to not poke holes in it. Whoop, I lost my clip. How I plan on hanging up all this artwork so as to not poke holes in it, I use clips so as to not damage the artwork that you sent me. All right, Soups, you can go right here. There's your new home. And Batman can go right there. And there we have it. Two more pieces of brilliant artwork on the fellow fan wall. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate that. Alright, so before we get into the rest of the segment, I want to point out that DC Talking Points is not a news show. If you're here looking for DC news, this is not the place to get it. This is more like what's been happening with DC kind of over the past week that I feel I want to talk about, and then I just sort of have my say on it. Chances are you'll already know all this stuff if you're a big DC fan too, so you're probably not going to hear anything new here. But those of you who've been coming back and watching every single episode will probably already know that by now. This is more for the new people. So the first thing I do want to talk about is the fact that John Wesley Shipp is donning a costume that is very, very reminiscent of his old school 90s Flash suit for the CW's crossover event this year. It's very cool to see the folks at the CW honoring the fact that John Wesley Shipp was the 90s Flash by letting him actually take on the exact same role all over again in a suit that is not exactly the same, but very much the same. Now right now you're going, Yes, it's the same suit. No, it's not. If we look at the suits side by side, you can actually tell that this is one that's been remade. The muscle structure is not the same. The way the suit has been made is not the same. I could be wrong. I might eat my words. I think it's a brand new suit that has been fashioned to look like the old suit. Still, very cool to see him in that suit. He does look a bit older around the edges, but let's face it, he is older, and for his age, he still looks fantastic in a Flash suit. Also, we got our first look at Tyler Hoechlin in his Superman suit. It's the alternate black suit, or their version of what the black suit would be. There have been multiple times that he's worn a black suit, not just for his resurrection suit, so I'm not sure why they've got him in a black suit. I'm still very excited to see that he's in one. That's very cool. I like the boots on the black suit better than the current red and blue suit. The red and blue suit boots are more like the new 52. These black ones look more classic in nature. I wish they would do a red pair like that and stick him in them. And it is kind of interesting that they gave the black suit a collar rather than a low neck like the other suit that he wears. I'm interested to see how that suit fits in, because he does wear both suits in the crossover, because we've seen him with Lois Lane in the original Superman suit that he wore as well. And that's the other thing. We get to see Lois Lane on set now too, which is also very cool. I think they look fabulous together. I can't wait to see how these two play off each other as Clark and Lois and Superman and Lois in this crossover. Also, we have that poster that everyone at first thought might be just a piece of fan art, but it's actually an official poster of Ole in a Flash suit and Barry in a Green Arrow suit. That blew my mind. I was totally one of the people that thought it was fan art as well until I actually found out that it wasn't. And then I was like, if nothing else, this crossover event is definitely going to be very interesting. We also got our first look at Gotham's Bane, and if I'm being totally honest...
No, sir, I don't like it.
Now, why is that? Well, that's because a lot of the costuming and how they plan on taking the look of this show really is influenced by the Christian Bale Batman universe. Because Batman, when he makes his appearance at the end of the series, his suit is supposed to be greatly influenced by the Baleverse Batsuit. So of course Bane is also going to have a look that is influenced by the Baleverse Bane. And I never really liked that look. I mean, it was good for what it was. It matched that universe. However, if I could have changed the look of Bane and gave him some kind of a helmet or something that looked kind of like the Mexican wrestler style mask that he was wearing, I probably would have done that instead. I'm more of a fan of that look. I do understand why that look is problematic in the real world and on set. It's just very difficult to pull that off and have it not look ridiculous. At least, I know a lot of people would think that, so I get why they decided to go with the piece that covers his mouth instead. Kind of looks like he swallowed a bunch of tarantulas and all their legs are sticking out of his mouth. That's just my opinion. Maybe you like it. That's alright too. Also, there's been more rumors that Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck are out. As usual, there's new rumors every week. These ones, I think they might be a little bit more true than before, but I honestly don't know. This is just rumor at the time. Nothing has been officially announced. However, something that has been officially announced is that Wonder Woman 84 has been pushed like 7 months into the future. And that's because there's going to be reshoots. They're saying, or the idea, the word on the grapevine, is that it's going to act as a soft reboot for the DC film universe, and it might even be more like a Flashpoint kind of thing. I don't even know how true that is, because how can I? I don't really know anybody at DC, and they're not going to tell me. But this is the stuff that is circulating, so just take it with a grain of salt. And also, if it's to be believed, Shazam is supposed to be having reshoots as well, which means DC is definitely doing something behind the scenes to tweak their film universe, if this really is the case. Now, to switch the topic to DC Comics-based action figures, Mafex, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, released their Justice League Cyborg figure. I was late to the table in getting it, but when I finally did get my hands on it and do my review, I really found myself coming out the other end being more than satisfied with the action figure, so much so that it's made its way to my top 10 of 2018 list, which the video, that'll come out much later, but I do have a list, and that's got to be top secret until I make the video, but it made its way to the list within like 10 minutes of me opening the package and fiddling with him. There's just so much to like about this figure, from the sculpting, the paint apps, the quality of the figure in general, and the fact that all of its joints are actually made out of die-cast metal. I'm just I found myself so happy with the figure. If you don't have it and you're looking for a Cyborg figure that will go with your mix and match Justice League set, so far my money is on the Mafex Cyborg. I think he's fabulous. Also, the DC Collectibles Doomsday Clock 2-pack number 2, the one with Rorschach and Mime, came out fairly recently as well, and I picked that up and did my review of it, and I really, really like the Rorschach figure. I find that I get a lot of the same comments on that video where people are saying that it doesn't have articulation that they would like, and they could have done this or that to make the articulation better, and I hear you, totally. Some people really want a lot of articulation. For me, I'm happy with the amount of articulation that I got with him because I don't plan on doing anything that crazy and posable with him. So for me, they would just be extra articulation points that would be fluff for me. And in the end, Rorschach as well has made his way to that 2018 top 10 list. He might even be on the top. Just maybe. Mime, on the other hand, as much as I really liked the face sculpt and how clean the paint apps were in comparison to a lot of the other DC Essentials and Doomsday Clock figures we've received, there was this problem, and it's only gotten worse with time. Look at that. You can't possibly stand him up properly without him falling over because his legs are just so loose and wibbly. That's not right. So for a figure that I could have really liked, I just like. For me, it's not a huge problem because I'm just going to stand him up on a shelf and that's where he's going to be. I never planned on using him for any crazy action figure photography. That's just the completionist in me that is happy to have him. But if I was somebody who wanted to be actually putting him into poses and having to balance him for photographs, I would be very upset. Especially not just with him, but with the entire line of DC Essentials. It's really the only other quip. My two big quips, my qualms with this line are the paint apps can be sloppy on some of these figures, and then they get so loose, so quick, that they're almost completely unposable. And it's one of the big factors that keeps a lot of people from shelling out the cash to take these guys home with them. DC Collectibles, if you're listening, please don't let this jiggly, weak articulation thing be like the DC Direct weak knees and ankles and elbows thing, where they just kept snapping because you used subpar clear plastic that the second you moved the elbow, they just snapped. And the fans kept telling you and telling you and telling you, fix this. Fix it. Use a better plastic. And you just never listened. And when you did, it was too late. You waited too long, and people already associated your products with weak knees, ankles, and elbows that would just snap. Let this be different. Fix the problem ASAP. Also, while you're at it, please make a smaller male buck and a different female buck so that you can at least go back and forth between taller and shorter characters rather than having them all the same size on the same buck. It's very simple. Just take the same buck that you've got and then digitally shrink it and ta-da, you could at least do that. But just like Warner Brothers will never see the fact that I could do the most bomb Superman movie ever, it's also entirely likely that DC Collectibles will never see this video. Holy crap, comics going everywhere. And under the topic of comics, I don't really have anything to talk about. I mean, I'm still reading every single week, but I haven't picked up this week's issues. I'm going to get them Friday. So as for current comic conversation, I really don't have any. I've been reading the Witching Hour story. I really like that. Of course, I'm reading the Batman, the Detective, the Superman, the Action Comics, the Supergirl, and there's some very cool stuff happening in all of those titles. But I kind of feel like if I'm going to talk about comics in this, then I should probably talk about stuff that is at least current this week, of which I have none. Because like I said, I haven't bought this week's issues yet. So I guess that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, found it a useful, reasonable, entertaining waste of time, hit the like button so I know I'm doing something right. If you think you'd like to see more of my face, more of my DC related content show up in your inbox, just hit the subscribe button, doink the bell so that maybe you never miss a video, and I will see you in the next one. Have an awesome day, super friends. Take care. Seriously, DC Collectibles, you gotta get this sorted out. You are not earning yourself any new prospective collectors by releasing stuff that is, in some cases, almost unposable. Get it figured out.